Alright guys, the great debate, 7.62 by 39 versus 5.56. Which one is better? There is no question in my mind. The 7.62 by 39 does not measure up. Stand by for the reasons. Cue the intro. Alright guys, we're going to start with the most important reason why I don't think the 7.62 by 39 millimeter is an adequate round for any tactical situation, but certainly not for a prepper or a one gun type. I know this kind of flies in the face of what's the word I'm looking for here? It's counterintuitive. I mean, you look at these two bullets, and this one looks drastically bigger. And I mean, this one looks much smaller. Which would you rather get shot with? This video is not a 7.62 versus 5.56 video. This video is purely why I don't think the 7.62 by 39 is a good round. The 5.56 got its own problems. But let's start with the 7.62. And we're going to start with the most important reason first. The most important reason that this is not a good round for a prepper or for tactical situations, here's the beast. Hey, beast. Is that it is no longer in use by any major military. The Russians have abandoned this round. They now use a 5.45 millimeter round. They have switched to a 22 caliber like we do. The Chinese no longer use this round. They've switched to a 5.8 millimeter. They may still have it in some secondary units, but starting in the late 90s, they switched away from the 7.62 by 39 and they started adopting a bullpup rifle chambered in 5.8. I don't know much about that round. What's that mean? Why is that important? Do we just want to do what the Russians and the Chinese do? No. But the reason why that's important is that means that this round will not be available in the massive... What are you doing? Will not be available in the massive quantities anymore that it is right now, or not much longer. Right now, this round is incredibly cheap. That's its main attraction for preppers and the patriots and those types of people, is that you can stockpile large amounts of it for small amounts of money. As cheap as 11 cents a round in some cases. That's pretty cheap. But we've been through this before with another surplus military round, the British 303. After World War I and World War II, the British 303 round was everywhere, and it could be had for incredibly cheap. And British Enfield rifles were everywhere and could be had for incredibly cheap. Over time, though, as the British switched away from that round, that situation changed, and you could no longer find the round as inexpensively. Now it's hard to find it at all. Now it's a niche round. There's not much of it out there. 7.62 by 39 millimeter is going to go that same route. There are still militaries that use it. North Korea, Iran, Iraq, some other little places around Africa, of course, Al-Qaeda. It's not like it's going to disappear the way British 303 did. But it is going to get much more harder to find and less affordable. That is the main reason. That is the number one reason why this round isn't a good choice for preppers. Supply and resupply is the fundamentally most important aspect of any campaign. And in the not too distant future, this round will no longer be available for supply and resupply, or not easy supply and resupply. All right, that's it. That's the first reason. The second reason why this is not a good choice, and I'm going to really piss some people off here, is the rifles it's available in. Look, you cannot separate a round from the dominant rifle. At least with the 5.56 and the 7.62 by 39, these two rounds cannot be separated from the platforms that they are largely available in. I'm going to deal with the ballistics on this round in a minute. But the ballistics on this round aren't bad. It's a decent round. The problem is, there's exceptions, but for the most part, the round you're going to be shooting, or the rifle you're going to be shooting this round out of, is the AK-47 or the SKS. And both of these these rifles are incredibly misunderstood weapons. They have a reputation for reliability that is simply wrong. They're reliable as long as you consider reliability that they make a noise every time you pull the trigger. Yes, every time you pull the trigger, an SKS and an AK-47 is likely to make a bang. That does not mean they are reliable weapons. A reliable weapon is one that puts steel on target. And the AK-47 and the SKS are some of the most inefficient modern semi-automatic rifles at doing that in the world. I'm sure there's some that are a little less efficient at putting steel on target, but those two are by far some of the worst in the world. They have horrific accuracy, and their mechanical tolerances are so loose that they simply can't jam. They will always fire, but also it means their accuracy is just atrocious. And I'm sorry, guys, you can't separate this round. You can talk about the Taiga, you can talk about any of those other ones you want. Oh, the Yugoslavian rifles are better. Well, no, they're not. The Yugoslavian rifles don't have chrome-lined barrels. So they're just as bad because their barrels wear out quicker. Yeah, we could go on and on and on and on and on. But you're not looking to make a noise when you pull the trigger. You're not scaring bad guys with loud noises, or at least you can't count on scaring bad guys with loud noises. You have to be able to put steel on target. The 7.62x39, while ballistically is a decent round, it will almost always be fired out of that SKS and that AK-47, and you are ill-equipped with those two rifles. There's a few other issues with this round. One of them is just philosophical. Listen, the Russians and the Chinese, their overall strategy was not professional war fighters. They believed in massive conscript armies that would just fight wars of attrition. They did not arm their soldiers in order to march victoriously into battle and defeat enemies. They equipped their soldiers to absorb lots of punishment so their tanks and their artillery could overwhelm the enemy. In fact, the Russians, their strategy for dealing with minefields, when they came to minefields, was to call the infantry up from the rear and have the infantry lead the tanks through the minefield, so the infantry blew up the mines and the tanks came through okay. This is not a military that values the riflemen or values the infantrymen, and they did not design a weapon and they did not design ammunition to support priorities they didn't have. Same thing with the Chinese. They were not interested in professional war fighters using fire and maneuver to win conflicts. They were interested in a mass casualty. Forgot the phrase. I hate it when I do this in the middle of filming. A war of attrition. Thank you. Mass casualty war of attrition that they win in the end because they've got more people. That is not the kind of fight you want to be in, sir. Especially in North America, we are talking about small groups of men where the most important thing is those individual men and their survivability. Nothing else matters in the situations we're talking about is survivability of the individual warfighter. This weapon, this round was not designed for that. Now, the ballistics on this are okay. There's nothing overtly wrong about this bullet flying through the air. It's a 122 to 124 grain bullet. It's usually moving at 2,400 feet to 2,100 feet per second, depending on which exact bullet it's shooting. You can get some heavier projectiles. I do quibble with the ballistics a little bit. There's only two ways to make a bullet effective. It's either got to be really fast or really heavy. And to make a bullet really fast, you've got to make it light. And to make it a bullet really heavy, it's got to be slow. So your options are light and fast, heavy and slow. This bullet is neither. It's not really, really fast, and it's not really, really heavy. So it's kind of stuck there in this intermediate no man's land. And I know it's an intermediate cartridge, that's what they call it. But it kind of takes the worst of both worlds. It goes at kind of a slower speed, and it's not quite heavy enough. It actually has the ballistics of a 30-30, which Lot of deer have been killed with the 30-30 in America. There is nothing wrong with the ballistics of this round out to 100 to 150 yards. Past that, it really kind of loses a lot of power. It starts dropping out of the sky. They talk about its trajectory being like a rainbow, you know, it goes whee! And it gets hard to be accurate with it past. You know, if you read the literature, they'll tell you it's good out to 400 yards. Technically, a good rifleman should be able to use that to 250 yards. In all honesty, it drops so much after 150 yards that it's really, in my opinion, not good. Not saying it won't kill you. I mean, I am not saying that if you shoot somebody with a 7.62x39, they will not die. What I'm telling you is that if you want the best chance to survive a firefight, this ain't the round, the SKS ain't the rifle, the AK-47 ain't the rifle. You are not equipped and armed as well as you should be or could be if that is your choice, if that's what you're relying on. Now, I know, guys, there's a lot, you can buy a lot of ammo for 11 cents a round. You can get a lot of ammo. But you know what? That brings us to one more thing I almost forgot. These aren't reloadable. All right? If you're really talking about a grid down scenario, no resupply, at some point you want the option to reload. The primers on these bullets are generally a Burden style primer. They're not well suited to reloading, and the cases are almost always lacquered steel or copper plated steel. And I'm not sure as the technical reasons why, but the experts say you're not supposed to reload those. I don't know if they you know, it weakens them if they can't take multiple, you know, shots, or if it stretches them out, or what the issue is. But I know you can't reload these, and that is a major problem in grid down, or if there's ever a disruption in the supply. And there will be a disruption in the supply. Like, remember, no major modern military is using this as their main round anymore. This will begin to trickle out of circulation. It won't disappear, it won't go away, but it will not be available in the massive surplus quantities that allow the prices to be as low as they are right now. For that reason, for the philosophical reasons behind why it was designed, and because while it's very effective at up close, 150 yards is a very effective round, it does not give you the option to go out beyond that, reach out and touch someone. I'm sorry, I just don't like the 7.62x39. There's better choices out there. We'll talk about them in the future. You know what they are. This is just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Please comment. Thanks, guys.